Seconds away on Studio 5. His soulful sound is the future of gospel music. Jonathan McReynolds is in Studio 5.
That is what is going to easily and naturally invite people of my generation.
The singer, songwriter, and college professor has a lesson on why the church needs to stay relevant. Plus, Audio Adrenaline's frontman takes on a new challenge.
As I was walking out the door, I was like, hey, you know, if you ever need an extra in a movie or whatever, let me know.
Agee makes his acting debut. And then,
You're just so exposed, you've got nothing to shield you.
It's not, you know, pretend there's an explosion happening over here, it's actually going on, and then I think, you know, that just means you get natural reactions to stuff.
meet the cast of the World War II true-to-life film Dunkirk. Studio 5 starts now. And welcome to Studio 5. Those stories are ahead as we kick off this week's rundown of the 5 best headlines in uplifting entertainment news. Here are your first 2. At number 5. As fans wait for Lecrae's new album to be released this summer, he is offering inspiration from his own life. In this Instagram post, Lecrae reminds fans, God's got you.
I remember I lost my job. I lost the woman I loved. And then my car flipped over 3 times on the highway. And I should have lost my life, but I only lost my car. So no job, no car, no woman. And I felt like I was in the worst place in my life. But you know, you only fear circumstances because you fear God too little. And I had to realize that God was bigger than my circumstances. And all of that stuff, all those things that happened to me, happened for a reason. They happened to build something inside of me, to build endurance, to build strength, to build resilience, to make me to the person that I am today. And I realized I'm not my circumstances. Matter of fact, I'm bigger than my circumstances. I'm a child of God. I am made in his image and his likeness, and he's the creator of all creation. Why am I worried about these things? He's got me. Put my faith in him. I've been running ever since.
By the way, you can read all about Lecrae's come up in his gripping book, Unashamed. At number 4.
God, give me a sign or I have to give up. I can't do this anymore.
Pop star Kesha returns to the music scene with an anthem about prayer.
I hope you're somewhere praying, praying. I hope your soul is changing.
This single comes ahead of her full album release, titled Rainbow, and follows a stint in rehab for an eating disorder, depression, a years-long legal battle to be released from her contract with Sony, and claims she'd been abused.
I'm proud of who I am. No more monsters, I can breathe again.
That's a look at number 5 and number 4 in today's countdown. We have more to come. This week, we want to pay a visit to recording artist Jonathan McReynolds. He has new music in the works, and his foundation is on track to help send more young people to college with some much-needed scholarship money. He's sitting down with us this week for Studio 5's interview.
You can't catch a bird while it's flying in the air. No, you gotta wait till it comes to the ground.
It doesn't matter if he's in the recording studio.
No, the devil's gotta wait till we come down.
Performing in front of an audience, or teaching music at Chicago's Columbia University. Jonathan McReynolds stays high.
So I'll stay high, coming down for no reason. I'll be reading my words.
Stay High is one of my favorite songs from Jonathan's Life Music Stage 2 album. It's inspired by a sermon he recalls hearing and guides his way of living.
God has built us to fly and stay up there. We're not people that just fly for a second and come down on the ground, where we're in danger for being, you know, ensnared by temptations and life's issues and life's problems, the devil's plans and ploys and all that other stuff. Stay high. Even rest high. Stay in the trees like an eagle, and just stay high. So
you grew up in the church. Do you think the church has done a good job of staying relevant?
Yeah, I think it's first of all, I think that there are people who have not worked hard enough to stay relevant, and then people that have worked way too hard to stay relevant. You have people on both sides. You have people who have been stuck in their traditions, they're stuck in their ways, that they start to view normal evolutions of culture, normal changes in music. These are changes in music that have happened since forever, okay? And they look at those as demonic, and then we don't want to go over there. We're going to stay with our hymns and our organs and the things that we're used to. And then you have people that have gone overboard and believe that reaching the youth is being worldly. And that's not necessarily the truth either. It's definitely, it's incumbent upon every generation of the body of Christ to express their feelings, to pursue God in their own way, with their own language, with their own cultural pot that they are, you know, eating from. And that is what is going to easily and naturally invite people of my generation. I think people either don't try hard enough or they just try way too hard instead of just being you. And the bottom line is, if you have a 25-year-old up there, they're going to attract 25-year-olds. Simple as that.
For your music, you are not just appealing to Christians. From what I understand, what I've read, Nicki Minaj is a fan. I've interviewed people in the secular world who are fans of your music. Is it intentional? Are you trying to reach beyond?
No, and that's what I'm saying. You know, the last question, I was only preaching what I've actually seen. Is when you are just yourself, you attract people like yourself. And the truth of the matter is, and Christians might not agree or be ready to accept, but the body of Christ is in a lot of different places. They might not be fully manifested, they might not be fully convinced, but I truly believe that, you know, God has called a lot of people, even if they're in different places right now. They might not all be in church on Sunday morning. Nicki Minaj, from what I know, is a Christian. Nicki Minaj is somebody that does pray before she goes out. Tori Kelly is a Christian, somebody that I've heard does pray. And I just don't know. We don't know, you know, where the hearts are, but the bottom line is, when you can just be yourself, people will see you be yourself. Chrisette Michele said something, and she's another R&B artist, but again, started in church. I think she sung with Donnie McClurkin and everybody else, just a praise and worship leader like half of us. And she said, after seeing me at the Essence Fest, I didn't know Christian artists could be that human. And I thought that was ridiculous.
Wow.
Because the problem is, people have always equated R&B and soul music and country, I guess, with humanity. And Christianity, that's some kind of superhero thing that we can't attain. Either we have it or we don't. And that's not the truth. You know, we are all humans, and we all have the same frailties, the same temptations, the same issues. We just answer it differently. We address it differently. We address it with Christianity.
What can we expect next? I mean, what do you have any desire for reality TV, acting?
I don't, you know, it's hard for me to say that I have a desire for it, because I don't, but I also don't want to cut the possibility off.
Gotcha.
You know, I really don't know. At this point, I'm traveling very regularly. I'm teaching at Columbia still, and I love that. I absolutely love that. If I could teach more, I would.
I really need to rid myself of the pressure to be someone.
Kirk Franklin calls this Chicago native the future of gospel music, and he's inspiring others with his foundation, Elihu Nation.
There's a character in Job named Elihu, or Elihu, and he was according to the scripture, he was a young guy who kind of listened. He sat back and listened to the older guys talk, and they argued, and Job, what are you doing? You must have done something wrong. And at the end of it, he was kind of upset. I've listened to you old folks talk, thinking that wisdom and age were always directly proportional. I listened to you assuming that only the aged understand what is right. But now I realize that wisdom comes from the breath of the Almighty. And young folks, we don't have to hit rock bottom. We don't have to have every single horrible experience to know what is right, what is horrible. And you know, so that's this whole nonprofit is kind of aimed at spreading the wisdom of God.
Act like a Christian should and hope that someone watching would approve and be inspired.
In addition to handing out thousands of dollars in scholarship money, the Grammy-nominated artist is at work on new music. The Make Room live recording was held back on May 5th. We'll keep you posted on the project's release. Still ahead. Audio Adrenaline frontman Adam Agee talks ministry in Haiti.
We take care of about 100 orphan and abandoned kids.
And perhaps an acting career on the horizon?
I make my acting debut in this movie.
And welcome back to Studio 5. It is time now for number 3 and number 2 in this week's countdown of the best in uplifting entertainment news. Take a look. At number 3.
Ready?
I'm ready. What?
Duck Dynasty's Sadie Robertson is keeping busy following the end of the popular show. In this Instagram post, she announced she'll be leading Wednesday Word, a midweek Bible study with online fans. She's long shared her faith on social media.
It's a verse in Proverbs, and it talks about knowing what to overlook. And it talks about how like the wise don't get like annoyed easily. And I was like, oh, okay, speaking to me, you know. It's like you gotta know what to overlook sometimes.
At number 2.
I would love to hear what sort of fantasies you're playing off as truth today. You should feel
Move over, Young and Restless.
We're trying a Christian soap opera. Coming up this fall, we think it's the first time ever.
PureFlix announces it's adding a soap opera to its digital lineup. It's called Hilton Head Island and will star actors Donna Mills, Antonio Sabato Jr., and Wink Martindale, as well as a few other familiar names.
I want people to see it fresh when it comes out this fall. But you know, you have to realize that all of our stories have drama in them.
PureFlix broke the news on Pure Talk, its social media talk show in partnership with FaithWire. With those two behind us, only one more headline remains in the countdown. We'll get to it in just a moment. This book, God Bless the Broken Road, is soon to be a major motion picture. The cast includes familiar names like Jordan Sparks and Robin Givens. But a surprise member of the cast may be Audio Adrenaline's frontman, Adam Agee. This new project, Adam's music and his work in Haiti, make him this week's Studio 5 one to watch. Go from being in the audience watching this group to being on stage singing?
Well, I had a band called Stellar Cart for many years, and I was friends with some of the Audio A guys, and it's well documented that I grew up stealing all of Mark's moves, and we covered some of their tunes. But when they decided to ramp the band back up to raise some money for Haiti, he gave me a call and said, "What would you think about joining the band?" And so I was like, "Wow!" and asked my wife, "Can I be in Audio Adrenaline?"
Can I be in a band?
and she said, "Absolutely," because of all the ministry.
Oh, I love to hear the song of creation, the wind and the rhythm of the rain.
It is beautiful, the things that you do. I have a real big heart for Haiti. I've been there probably at least 7 times. What is it about that country and the work that you guys are doing? Why?
It's an amazing place. I'll never forget the first time I flew in, and it's just gorgeous. It's this gorgeous Caribbean island nation out there, and you're in the city, and it's crazy, and it's just millions of people in the city of Port-au-Prince. When we were driving through, just seeing the poverty like I've never seen before. Like we don't have, it doesn't exist here in the States. It's just there's trash piled up 6 feet high in the canals, and just unbelievable living conditions. And then seeing the kids as we were driving on the road out to our children's village, just the looks on their faces, it was just kind of this blank stare of hopelessness. And that versus when we pulled into the gates at the Hands and Feet Project and the kids run out with arms spread wide and smiling ear to ear and jumping all over us and just so excited about life. And
tell people about what happens there.
At the Hands and Feet Project, we have 2 children's villages, and then also we have a new project that we just completed called Icondo, which is a mission guest village. So we take care of about 100 orphan and abandoned kids.
And it's nice to know that your music is helping to make that possible.
Absolutely. That's why we have this platform. We get to tour all over the world in front of hundreds of thousands of people, and to just play music would be such a waste. To be able to tell the world about the need in Haiti especially, but just overall, there's so many people in need, and just to encourage people to get out and make a difference.
Absolutely. Want to shift gears a bit. God Bless the Broken Road. I've got a novel before me, but now this is a major motion picture.
Yeah.
And I understand you've got a hand in it.
I make my acting debut in this movie. Yeah, our song Sound of the Saints was in God's Not Dead 2. And I was at the party in LA, the release party in LA, and I just happened to be talking to the director. Then as I was walking out the door, I was like, hey, you know, if you ever need an extra in a movie or whatever, let me know. And he's like, are you serious? And I was like, yeah, man, just call me. He's like, okay. And so a couple months later, he texted me, he's like, were you serious about wanting to be in a movie? I said, sure, I'll try it. And he's like, how would you feel about playing a soldier in a flashback scene? I was like, I can do that, right? You know, I can stand in the background and be a soldier, that's fine. And then, you know, we get closer and he's like, hey, how'd you feel about speaking part? I'm like, sure, why not? And so, yeah, I'm probably in the movie for 3 minutes, but it's awesome. It was such a fun time. We shot for 2 days, and just met some amazing people.
Well, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Good to have you. Joining Adam in the film God Bless the Broken Road is a former NFL star, LaDainian Tomlinson. It is his first film role. He plays a pastor trying to help a mother in distress and a disabled veteran. Up next on Studio 5, your first look at Dunkirk. Christopher Nolan brings a real-life war story to the big screen.
The fact that this story does not end in either surrender or annihilation is what makes it one of the greatest stories in human history.
Welcome back to Studio 5. Without any more delay, let's take a look at this week's #1 headline in the world of uplifting entertainment news. Now for #1.
First poem I did was a love poem. Showed it to a few people. They thought I stole it off the internet. But then I looked at it like, well, dang, this must be good if you thought I stole it off the internet.
Dante Clark uses writing and poetry to rise above a deadly turf war in his Richmond, California hometown, and to inspire those around him.
I'm the spear, no the arrow that shoots through history to advance the centuries of my people's miseries. Whoa, I'm the dream of Dr. King. No, I'm the flame under the pot, the powder cooking, the rock that's chopped and served on the block to the fiends. I'm too dope. Whoa, hold up.
Clark's story is now the focus of a powerful documentary with the support of hip-hop and spoken word pioneer Russell Simmons. I'll start with you because you are sent this film, and I understand you loved it immediately. What was it about the film?
I have an affinity for poetry. I look at poetry as one of the better angels in hip-hop. Although all of it is great, expressive, and innovative, this particular thing appeals to me. It's a way to get the voiceless to say something, and everybody hear it. And it's a way to get the voices to hear themselves.
Romeo is Bleeding premieres in New York City this week, and wider release on July 28th. And that wraps this week's countdown and brings us to our next story. The summer movie season continues to heat up, and the next film you may want to consider is an epic action thriller, Dunkirk. Here's your first look.
You can practically see it from here. What? Home.
There are 400,000 men trapped in one place, on a beach. Their backs to the sea, the enemy closing in all around them. And it's just a matter of time before they face surrender or annihilation. And the fact that this story does not end in either surrender or annihilation is what makes it one of the greatest stories in human history, and one which I've been wanting to tell for quite some time.
Dunkirk is Christopher Nolan's first film based on a true story, with limited computer-generated special effects and actors the same age as the World War II soldiers. Nolan sets out to recreate the historic battle as close to reality as possible.
The traditional thing in Hollywood movies is to cast 28, 29-year-olds, 30-year-olds, and pretend they're younger. We wanted to cast people of the right age. We wanted kids who would experience these events the way people would have at the time. And it was very important to us to find interesting, fresh faces to do that.
The young actors, including Harry Styles in his acting debut, talk about their experience on set in this epic war film.
I was coming out onto the beach and there was like 1,300 extras, all dressed in battle gear. There was Spitfires flying overhead, destroyers in the background. The beach was set dressed, sandbags and trucks and everything, and there was explosions going off in the sand. And it was just so real. You can never really put yourself there, but that is, I think, the closest you can come.
So vulnerable, so vulnerable. I mean, from every aspect as well. Sitting ducks on the beach, sitting ducks on the water, sitting ducks in the air. You're just so exposed, you've got nothing to shield you.
It's not, pretend there's an explosion happening over here, it's actually going on, and then I think, that just means you get natural reactions to stuff.
Yeah, any reactions you have are just a response to what's going on around you. It's just kind of honest.
I never actually felt like I was thinking about acting because everything was there for you. There was kind of no acting required in many situations with everything that was flying around your head.
He's on me! I was up in the air over the channel with the Spitfires. They strapped the IMAX to the wing of the plane that I was in and flew it over, swooping over the channel with a massive IMAX camera on the wing.
The thing with the IMAX is just it's so epic, and I think that's with Chris's films. He does that so well. He captures that huge, vast picture, which just sucks you in. It's like a black hole, just pulls you in.
You wouldn't be doing the story justice if you shot it on anything else, yeah.
What was your favourite thing about working with Chris?
It's funny you asked that, Finlay. He leads by example so much. He's like the first one there, the last one to leave.
Very present.
Yeah, very hands-on.
Yeah, I was always told about, like, if you were to ever do a film, that you'd hear the directors shouting the directions from 3 miles away in a tent. But, Chris is there the whole time. You see the camera there and Chris there, so.
Literally right beside it, the little monitor. Yeah.
These huge sets and there's kind of, real Spitfires and warships all around you and all the rest of it, thousands of extras.
The ship's about to leave!
The scale of this was absolutely massive. The general public are in for like an epic suspense thriller based within the framework of historical background.
We're going to watch like a super intense movie.
It just doesn't give the audience time to think. You're just plunged straight into this world and you're just kind of swept along in it. And you're just taken with you. You see this world through their eyes and ears, and that story really needs to be told.
It's a film of survival and panic. It's breathless.
I think it's going to be bloody brilliant.
Now, if you're considering taking in that film, Dunkirk hits American theaters July 21st. Still ahead on Studio 5.
I realized that that's what God had been training me for.
The moment that propelled this filmmaker into finding his purpose. And we are back in Studio 5 with a look ahead to what we're working on to bring you next week.
Now I see why you wanted to be alone. Really? You're gonna throw away an entire year of sobriety because of one bad night? And for a box of wine?
Vanessa Williams opens up and shares the heart of her latest acting role. Plus,
Never say die.
she's breaking news on when she's dropping some new music. And that is just one story from next week's rundown. Hope you'll join us for that. For now, I'm giving the final word to an eye doctor and filmmaker, David Evans. Studio 5 was recently on set in Memphis for the making of David's next film, Indivisible. And there is where he shared what happens when passion meets purpose.
Being an eye doctor is certainly a passion of mine, but you know, years ago when I sat in a theater watching Fireproof, and my mentors, who I consider to be the Kendrick brothers, watching a movie that touched me in ways I'd never experienced before in a movie theater. And after 15 years of doing this passion play, I realized that that's what God had been training me for. And so I told my wife that night in the theater, I said, this is what God has been training us to do. And so now, years later, after the Grace Card, we have a story that we know will touch military lives.
Thanks, David Evans. That is an awesome word. We'll be sure to keep you posted here on Studio 5 when his film is released. And that will do it for this week's look at the best in uplifting entertainment news. Until next time, reach out and touch me at Ephraim Graham on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Snapchat. And I hope you'll come on back and see where Studio 5 takes you next week. Bye-bye, everybody.